tracking the situation in Iran. Retired Marine intelligence officer, host of the Strat podcast, Hal Kempfer, joins us now. And it's always a pleasure to have you on, Hal. Thank you very much for being here. So we have the supreme leader confirmed dead. You have said that this has all the earmarks of a regime change. It appears the president wanted this based on comments he made just hours ago. What do you see as the timeline and what comes next?
Well, Kelly, what I see is that obviously there was an opportunity that presented itself where the supreme leader, many of his top cohorts, the top 5 to 10 folks around him, and about 40 others, all of whom had leadership positions, were all pretty much in the same place at the same time, from what I can tell. And it looks like that may have been part of our timing, was that this thing presented itself. It was a chance to do a major decapitation strike, set the conditions for a potential regime change. And now we're going to see what happens. President Trump is talking about that there are members of the Revolutionary Guard Corps that are actively discussing, presumably with the U.S., some sort of, taking advantage of the immunity deal. If the Revolutionary Guard Corps cracks open and the regular police force, the regular military don't suddenly jump up to fiercely defend the regime, then we might see the ingredients that I would expect to see a significant regime change and to thwart those more radical elements in the IRGC from possibly taking over in the wake of Khamenei's demise.
And we have the president saying that heavy pinpoint bombing will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary. We're not hearing from him anymore tonight, we're being told. When do you anticipate we may hear more on the U.S.'s side regarding what comes next or what has happened thus far?
Well, what we hear next may not be from the president himself. I would expect that others would be out there and explaining it. I would expect the Pentagon would be providing some key information on what's been happening. Obviously, U.S. Central Command, this is their area of responsibility. They kind of take lead, so I would expect to hear from the Public Affairs Office at U.S. Central Command what is going on there. And of course, the Israelis, they're our joint partners in this entire thing. So they have been very vocal about what's going on. So I imagine we're going to hear from them before we hear from the president next. But I imagine we're going to hear some things that I'm listening for, which is, what is the battle damage? What is the BDA, the battle damage assessment? What have we accomplished? And also, not just that one big decapitation strike in Tehran, but all these other strikes around the country, mostly in the northern half of the country. But what is the effect there? What's it doing for the retaliation? What's it, or retaliatory capability? What's it doing for their air defense? Have they knocked that out? They've already said that they have air superiority. Do we have air supremacy? Are we uncontested? And when I say we, that would be the joint U.S.-Israeli air forces. Do we have complete supremacy over the air? And if we do, then it's just a matter of time. This is, one way to look at this is, at this point, the protesters have the combined naval and air forces of the U.S. and the Israeli Defense Forces on their side. So should the IRGC, should Basij, the more radical elements of the regime security apparatus, should they step in to try and thwart the popular will? It's not going to be like it was in December. They can be taken under fire by us and the Israelis.
Retaliation, when we talk about that from Iran's side, has actually worked to strengthen Gulf allies. That's been the reporting. How significant do you see that update being, and may it result in some sort of coordinated response?
Well, I think it's already a coordinated response. I would be willing to say that the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC, was already kind of on board with this. Certainly there was the push for diplomacy. Nations like Saudi Arabia and others would say, please, don't launch from our territory, don't overfly our territory. But I've served multiple times over in the Middle East. I know that sometimes they can change their tune very quickly, and that there's things that are being said in private that they won't say publicly beforehand, but they're willing to immediately join with whatever we're doing. And that's what I saw here. Once it happened, and certainly once you saw Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, all coming under fire by the Iranians, there was a coalescing, a coming together very quickly of all those countries. And of course, the U.S. being a critical ally to all of them.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.